Hello students, today we will talk about the next part of the type study of Palaemon. That is, in the last class we were talking about appendages of Palaemon, then we talked about digestive system, and a little bit of blood vascular system was also completed in that part. Now we will talk about the rest of the internal organs of the Palaemon. So, under that we will first talk about the circulatory system, which is very unique, and we have to talk how they are moved into the body system. That is, first of all, the blood circulatory system in Palaemon is an open type with no veins and capillaries. So, here you have to understand that they do not have capillaries. So, the blood is not moving inside the capillaries to reach different parts of the body. They are open type with no veins. That is, the arteries are the one that takes the blood to different parts of the body, but the veins are not getting the deoxygenated blood. But where are they going? They have these lacunae that are present inside the body. So, there you can see in the picture over there, they have those blood lacunae present over there, this the blood lacunae over here, and also they have a blood lacunae a little bit over there, and they are also open into a ventral sinus. The collection part of the vascular system over here is a collection system, which is also called as a ventral sinus. So, it comprises of the circulatory system comprises of the pericardial sinuses around the heart, that is, this is a heart. Around the heart you have the pericardial sinus. Then you have those arteries on the anterior side and also on the posterior side. You have the arteries on both the sides of the heart, and they also open into the blood lacunae or also the sinuses that you call, and they have those different blood channels carrying the blood to and fro from the efferent and the afferent branchial arteries. So, we will talk about what they exactly are. We will talk about first the pericardial sinus, or which is also called as pericardium. It is a wide spacious sinus lying just below the dorsal surface of the thorax. So, just below the dorsal surface of the thorax you have the sinus being placed, and they are of course above the reproductive organs or hepatopancreas. So, there that is the heart, below it is the hepatopancreas, and they lie just below the thoracic region over there. The pericardium is incompletely filled with blood, which gets them from the channels and passes into the heart enclosed within the pericardium. So, this is only a collecting space for the blood channel, the blood to enter inside, and from there they enter into the heart. So, the pericardial sinus is mostly as a collecting part for the blood. Now, coming to the heart is a triangular shaped muscular structure with an apex on the front and a base behind. It is enclosed in a pericardium on the median dorsal part of the thorax and dorsally to the alimentary canal. The thick muscular wall of the heart is perforated by 5 apertures. You can see these apertures are also called ostia. Each ostium is a small slit like opening, and its lips act as a valve, allowing the blood to flow only inside in one direction and never vice versa, the outside part. So, the movement of the blood is only inside and they cannot move out of the heart. So, that is the reason why they have those valves present in this ostia. And as I said, there are 5 pairs of valves. So, you can see over here the first one on the dorsal side. So, one pair on the dorsal side, the second pair on the ventral side of the heart, that is below the heart. The third pair is the posterior part. So, the dorsal part, the ventral part and the posterior part forms the 3 pairs. Then the next one is the anterior lateral part. So, you have those anterior lateral ostia, and also you have the posterior lateral ostia over there. So, this is the posterior lateral ostia. So, completely they have 5 pairs of ostia. This ostia is nothing but an opening towards the heart region from the pericardial sinus. Now, arteries. Now, what is this arteries over here? The oxygenated blood flows from the pericardial sinus. So, this is the pericardial sinus. The oxygenated blood flows into the pericardial sinus from the efferent branchial arteries. It pumps out all its blood into the narrow tube, which are thick and strong and muscular and are known as arteries. That is, once the blood goes into the heart, due to the rhythmic contraction of the heart, the blood moves from the heart into the arteries over there. So, this is the anterior artery on the other side, and they also have a posterior artery over there. So, immediately the blood moves either from the anterior artery or the posterior artery over there, and the posterior side you can see the posterior branch, that is the mid posterior part of the artery, immediately gives rise to 2 branches over there. The one is a supraintestinal branch moving towards the gut region, the hindgut region of the Palaemon, and the other one is a sternal artery. The sternal sternal artery goes down below the ventral abdominal artery over there. They divide into two parts, that is the ventral thoracic artery and the ventral abdominal artery. The ventral thoracic artery gives blood to the ventral thoracic region of the body, whereas the abdominal side is given by the ventral abdominal artery. So, the mid posterior tube branches into two arteries, two branched arteries, that is the supraintestinal artery and a sternal artery, and anterior side it is going straight, it runs forward to open into the blood lacunae over there. And they also open into the blood sinuses, where the collection of the deoxygenated blood occurs in the ventral sinus over there, and they have those different lacunae, the blood lacunae, where the movement of the oxygenated blood occurs over there. So, here you have to remember that they do not have veins or capillaries, it is an open circulatory system, and this system also provides, that is, what is the disadvantage in open circulatory system is the animal is not able to move faster, because the oxygenated blood and the nutrients are not moving to the target cell immediately. They have to move around and then come to the target region, hence they make the movement of the arthropods a little bit slower. Now, coming to the principles of arteries over here. So, here what you are going to talk about, you have the different types of arteries over there. The median ophthalmic artery immediately arising from the apex of the heart over here. So, this is the heart. From the apex of the heart, it is a single slender artery which arises from the heart, apex of the heart, and it supplies blood to the esophagus, to the cardiac stomach and to the head region of the prawn. Then you have an antennary arteries arising immediately. So, these two are the antennary arteries. A pair of antennary arteries arise from the apex of the heart, one on each side of the median ophthalmic. So, from the median ophthalmic they arise on the either side over there. Then you have the hepatic arteries, that is going to the hepatopancreatic arteries, which arises from the ventrolateral side of the heart. So, here you have the hepatopancreatic arteries arising from the ventral side of the heart, and you have a median posterior artery. From the posterior ventral surface of the heart arises a short median artery which bifurcates into two branches, that is the supraintestinal artery and the sternal artery. Blood channels over there. So, if you can see in the picture over here, you have the heart over there, then you have the anterior arteries over there, the posterior arteries over there, then you have those blood channels, that is the efferent branchial vessels and the afferent branchial vessels giving the impure blood over there. So, what exactly is happening over there? From the ventral sinuses, we saw in that picture, in the earlier picture. So, this is the ventral sinuses over there. From the ventral sinus, blood is carried to the gills of that side by means of 6 afferent branchial channels. Remember, the afferent branchial channel arises from the longitudinal branchial channels, which forms a transverse channel, and this transverse channel is the one that is opening into an afferent branchial channel. The first channel supplies blood to two orthobranchs, the orthobranchs that is present thoracic region of the animal, and one podobranch. So, the first blood channel gives rise to two orthobranch and one podobranch of the gills, and the remaining 5 channels supplies blood to the pleurobranch gills that is present on the thoracic region completely, that is 8 pairs of the pleurobranch that is present. The aerated blood from the gills of each side returns to the pericardial sinus through another series of 6 efferent branchial channel, which also leaves the gills through their gill roots. So, here you can see all the blood that is being collected goes into the afferent branchial channel. From the afferent branchial channel, they go into the longitudinal channel. From the longitudinal channel, the blood moves into the median longitudinal channel. The median longitudinal channel has this attached to it are the efferent branchial channels, which goes to the gill, takes the oxygenated blood and gives the blood to the ostia, that is the pericardial sinus. From the pericardial sinus, the ostia takes the blood inside, and from the heart, the blood is pumped to different parts of the body. So, that is how the oxygenated blood is supplied. So, here you can clearly understand how the circulation of the blood occurs over here. From the heart, they move into the arteries. From the arteries, they go into the arterial branches to viscera and the other appendages. Then the blood lacunae of the hemocoel. From there, they enter into the ventral sinuses. From the ventral they go into afferent branchial channel. From the afferent branchial channel they go into the lateral longitudinal channel. From there they go into the marginal channel. So, here you can see the picture of there. From the afferent they go into the transverse channel. From there they go into the longitudinal channel over there. From the longitudinal channel they move to the marginal channel over there. From the marginal they enter into the median longitudinal channel. From the median longitudinal channel they enter the efferent branchial channel. From the efferent branchial channel the blood enters the pericardial sinuses. From the pericardial sinuses the blood enters into the heart through the ostia, and again the cycle continues. So, this is how the circulation of the blood occurs. And the blood is colorless in arthropods. Why? Because they have the hemolymph, they have that watery fluid containing colorless leukocyte which are phagocytic in nature, and hence they make them hemolymph, that is called the colorless blood that is present in the arthropods. The respiratory pigment is hemocyanin. Cyanin means blue colored pigmentation which is dissolved in the plasma of the blood. When oxidized it becomes bright blue in color, but it becomes colorless when they are deoxidized, and they have also a power of coagulation. Now, coming to the next system, that is the nervous system of Palaemon. The nervous system of Palaemon consists of the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system and sympathetic nervous system. What is the central nervous system comprising of? The central nervous system comprises of the supraesophageal ganglion over there on top, and it has a pair of commissural circumesophageal commissure over there on the posterior part of the brain, and they have a ventral thoracic ganglion and a ventral nerve cord running all along the body of the prawn. Now, what do you mean by supraesophageal ganglion? Supra means superior, and it is placed above the esophagus, hence the name supraesophageal ganglion. Now, what do you mean by a ganglion? Ganglion is nothing but a mass of neurons that are present, a bunch of neurons that are present as a mass called ganglion. So, here they do not have a well defined brain. So, each part is connected by a ganglion and its nerves connecting each part of the body. So, central nervous system consisting of the brain, that is the supraesophageal ganglion. Then it has a circumesophageal connective which is connecting to the ventral thoracic ganglion over there. The large ganglion that is present is a ventral thoracic ganglion. The ventral thoracic ganglion continues as a ventral nerve cord which innervates the abdominal region of the prawn. Coming to peripheral nervous system, what is the peripheral nervous system over here? The peripheral nervous system consists of the optic nerves, that is from the supraesophageal ganglion arises different types of nerves. The first nerve innervating the eyes called the optic nerves. Then they have an ophthalmic nerves that goes to the muscles of the eyeballs. Then they have an antenulary nerve running forward from the anterior part of the supraesophageal ganglion. From the anterior part runs the antenulary nerves. Then they have a tegumentary nerves running to the labrum of the prawn. Then to the mandibular nerves, that is the mandible region of the prawn. Then they go to the maxillary nerves and of course the pedal nerves to the pleopods. So, these are the peripheral nervous system which arises from various parts of the central nervous system to innervate the body parts. Now, what is a sympathetic nervous system over here? The sympathetic nervous system is represented by a small ganglia and the nerves over there. So, this is the one around the visceral supraesophageal connective over there. You have those circumesophageal connective, you have those ganglia that is present over there. A small nerve arising from the posterior part of the brain runs on the roof of the cardiac stomach and bears two visceral ganglia. So, they have the two visceral ganglia. The anterior visceral ganglion is joined with the two commissural ganglion by a pair of connectives over there. So, they have a pair of connective over there, and the posterior visceral ganglion is free and gives off two pairs of nerves to the muscles of the esophagus and the cardiac muscles. So, this is the different nerves that comes around. So, if you can see in this, when I have to talk about the peripheral nervous system a little bit in detail, the supraesophageal ganglion gives rise to different nerves, that is the antennary nerve, the antenulary nerve, and also the antenulary nerves branches to form the statocystic nerve over there. Then from the lateral side they give off the nerves to the optic part of the body over there, that is to the eyes. Then in the posterior region of the brain they give off a pair of nerves that arises posteriorly, moves below and then runs forward on top, which goes to the antenaries of antennae of the prawn called the antennary nerve. The antennary nerve also giving rise the nerves to the renal sacs, that is the excretory product over there. So, they give out the nerves to the renal sacs also. Then below you have a thoracic ganglion. The thoracic ganglion gives rise to 11 pairs of nerves. The 11 pairs of nerves that is running, the first one goes to the mandibles called the mandibulary nerve, then they give rise to maxillary nerves, and then they give rise to maxillary nerves. So, that is the 3 pairs over there. The next 3 pair is given to the 3 maxillipedes that are present, that is the 3 pairs of maxillipedes is given to the maxillipedes of there called the maxillipede nerves. Then the rest 5 pair is the nerves for the 5 pairs of walking legs over there. So, they move to the walking legs over there. Then the thoracic ganglion is continuous ventrally to form a ventral nerve cord, and on the ventral nerve cord you have 6 abdominal ganglions present in each segment over there. Each abdominal ganglion gives rise to 3 pairs of nerves over there. The first pair of nerve going into the pleopod called the pleopod nerve, then the next one going to the extensor muscles, and then the last pair going to the flexor muscles on the abdominal region. Now, when you are talking about the last ganglionic mass, that is the 6th ganglionic mass on the abdominal segment, it gives rise to flexor muscles, nerves to flexor muscles, nerves to uropods, that is the last swimming part of the segment, the uropod. It is also giving rise to the telson muscles over there, and also to the hind gut of the prawn. So, this is the peripheral nervous system of the particular prawn over there. Now, coming to the reproductive system of the Palaemon, you have a sexual dimorphism, that is they are the male and a female can be separated very easily, you can demarcate them very easily, that is the reason why you call as dimorphism over there. When you are going to compare both male and a female, the males are usually larger than the females. In the males, the bases of the thoracic legs are more closely approximated than the female, that is the thoracic legs are closely formed, whereas in the female they are a little bit away from each other. The male possesses narrow abdomen, whereas the female possesses a bigger abdomen over there, broader abdomen. In the male, the second pair of walking legs is a chelated leg, that is a chelated leg is very long, but that is not so in the females over there, and they also have the setae that is present on those legs over there. Then in the males, each second pleopod bears an additional process of appendix called the appendix masculina. So, here you can find there is appendix interna and an appendix masculina. This is found only on the second pleopod of the males, which is not present in the females. In the males, the epimera of the abdominal segments are smaller than in the females, where they are bigger in size for carrying the eggs, that is the pleopods are a little bit bigger, so that they can carry the eggs. If you can see in this picture over there, the pleopods help in carrying the eggs in the females over there, which is absent again in the males. And in the males, the paired genital apertures are situated on the coxa of the 5th pair of walking legs, while in the female it is found on the 3rd pair of walking legs. So, that was a little bit of difference in the dimorphism of male and a female. Now, when you are going to talk about the excretory system of Palaemon, the excretory system of the Palaemon is also called, it also has a pair of kidney which is called as antennary or green glands. So, because they almost resemble like that. So, they are called as green glands, and a median sac called the renal sac that is present inside them. So, they have a pair of green glands, a pair that is they are present on the antennae of, and also when we are talking about the appendages, we said the antennae also helps in excretory purpose. So, these are present on the antennae on the coxa region over there, and a pair of lateral ducts that is present on them, and they have a renal or a nephroperitoneal sac and an integument that is present over there. So, we will go into the detail of them. Now, coming to the antennary glands, the antennary glands are present in the coxa of the antenna, and each gland is made up of a small and white in color, and each gland shows 3 parts, that is this is the end sac part, in the excretory system of the prawn. This is the end sac, and adjoining them is a labyrinth that is just present beside the end sac is a labyrinth over there, and this opens into a bladder. This bladder opens into the renal pore, that is a ureter, and the ureter opens into the renal pore. Now, when you are talking about this end sac, you can have a closer look about this end sac over here. So, this is an end sac which opens into a labyrinth over there, and this labyrinth opens into the bladder. The round part is a bladder over there, and this bladder opens into a small ureter which opens outside to the renal pores. So, the excretory system, the excretory products is excreted to the renal pore. Now, with this, along with this green gland, this bladder is attached by a small lateral duct on either side, and this lateral duct opens into a renal sac. Now, this renal sac is continuous on the cephalothoracic region of the prawn. This what is the function of this renal sac is, they also help in storing a little bit of excretory product, which is also helpful in throwing them out. That is, once the excretory products are collected, it comes from the end sac. The excretory products are collected from the end sac. From the end sac, through the tubules, they open into the labyrinth. From the labyrinth, the excretory products are thrown into the bladder, and from the bladder through the ureter, and then outside into the renal pores. So, here that is what we were talking about, and the picture over there, the renal sac and the antennal glands that are present over there. Coming to physiology of excretion, what exactly happens? The green glands have good blood supply from antennary arteries by ultrafiltration, and the water and the dissolved substance passing through the surrounding blood into the end sac. The filtrate called the primary urine, which passes into the labyrinth. Here the selective reabsorption takes place, where useful material passes into the blood, and the remaining fluid is called as a final urine, which flows into the bladder. The urine is passed out through the ureter and the renal aperture, and is waved away in the current set up by the scaphognathides, which helps in movement of the water up and down. Now, during this excretory product, there is also one type of system occurring, that is osmoregulation. The prawn blood is hypertonic to the surrounding water. Therefore, water diffuses into the blood through highly permeable gills. That is why prawn passes out a large quantity of hypotonic urine to regulate its internal fluid volume. Coming to the reproductive organs of Palaemon. What is the reproductive organs over here? The reproductive organ consists of gonads, which are similar in shape, size, position, and general disposition in both the male and the female prawns. The gonads, that is the reproductive part over there. They are situated in the posterior region of the thorax over there. So, if you can see in the posterior region of the thorax, there is a the cavity, the body cavity that is present there, you find the gonads present over there. So, these are present on the posterior region of the thorax, dorsally above the hepatopancreas and below the pericardium sinus. The gonads are hollow, enclosed in the remains of the coelom, and they are continuous with the duct because of the reduction of the coelom. If you can see in this picture over there, we can clearly see where this is a male prawn, where the gonads, that is a testis that is present over here, which can be clearly seen, and this is the same place where even the female ovary could also be present. Now, talking about the male reproductive system, it is made up of a pair of testes situated over the posterior half of the hepatopancreas and beneath the heart, and they extend up to the renal sac in the abdomen, and each testis is made up of large number of lobules held together by a connective tissue. They are tubular and united in the front. So, they can see they are united in the front, and many cecal diverticulum arises on the either side of the testis, which is also called as vas differentia. And from the posterior part of the testis arises a tubular structure called vas deferens. It has a narrow anterior region, a swollen convoluted middle region, and a very narrow posterior region. And this region opens into the vesicular seminalis. This vesicular seminalis is a one that is a club shaped posterior end, which stores the spermatozoa packed in spermatophores. And the male genital opening opens through this vesicle seminalis to the exterior and are called as male genital opening. So, you can see the testis, TS of the testis, that is a transverse section. So, here you have on the borders you have this germinal epithelium. So, this is the mother cells which give rise to the spermatids. So, there are this growing spermatids which also forms into spermatocytes. This spermatocytes is the one that is going to give rise to the sperms. Now, if you can see the sperm over here, they have a globular head region, a nucleus present over there, and a very pointed tail. So, that is the male reproductive system over there. Coming to the female reproductive system, there are two pairs of there are two ovaries, that is a pair of ovary, one on either side in the middle line, and they occupy the whole length of the thorax and the abdomen. The right and the left ovaries are united posteriorly and they are free anteriorly. This was vice versa in the male, and they open into the oviduct. So, they have a slender curved tubes with approximate ends from the middle region, and each ovary arises, they open into an oviduct. The oviduct opens into two oviducts, that is they have those exterior opening of the female genital opening. So, these two oviducts open to the exterior by a female genital opening. There are no flaps unlike that of the male, because they have to lodge the semen, that is the sperms that is coming from the male reproductive organ. Now, if you can see the TS section of this ovary over there, you have a capsule around. So, this is the ovary, and you are going to take a section of this ovary and you are going to check it over there. So, you have those blood lacunae for the supply of nutrients over there. You have the immature ova posteriorly inside, you have the immature ova, slowly they go into a mature cells. The mature cells forms the ova over there, which forms the eggs that is going to be present over there. Fertilization and development in Palaemon. The breeding season in Palaemon is during the months of May, June and July, and fertilization is external. The female lays eggs in large numbers. The fertilized eggs are fastened to the pleopods. If you remember, when we were talking about the appendages of the pleopods forms a basket like structure in the females, so that it can lodge the eggs. The female is going to carry the eggs by a sticky secretions of the tegumental glands. During breeding season, a single female prawn is found to carry several hundreds of eggs and developing embryos. The development is direct and the embryos remain attached to the pleopods until they hatch. A newly hatched embryo looks like a small prawn with all its appendages except the last abdominals, that is the sixth abdomen. The adult form is reached after a series of molts. So, this was about the fertilization and development of the prawn, that is the pleopods in the females helps in holding all the eggs that is produced. So, they show a little bit of parental care where the eggs are being carried by the females for until they are going to be hatched, and of course, it is direct, and the young one that is hatched resembles like that of a adult prawn with all its appendages except the last abdominal segment. When you are talking about the receptors and the sense organs of the prawn, the sense organs includes eyes, statocysts, tactile organs and olfactory setae. The eyes helps in the moving, that is they are able to look at the environment around. So, that is again type of a sensory organ. Statocysts, which is also called as a balance organ, that is they help the animal to come back to its position, that is once they are moving and they fall down, the statocyst present in the antenillary region of the appendages helps in telling the prawn to come back to its position. That is what is called as balance organs. They have tactile sense organs that are present on the margins of the appendages, abundant in antennae and flattened position in the pleopods over there. And they have the olfactory setae, which are also small, middle feelers between the two long feelers on the antennae on the either side. So, this is the picture of the statocyst, which is having those sensory setae containing the bristles. So, this is the bristle, they have a bulbous base with a slender shaft, and the shaft is continuous with the bristles. The bristles, when come in contact with the sand particles, tells the prawn to come back to its position. So, these are about the sense organs of the prawn. I hope you have understood this topic. Thank you.